Okay. Hi everyone, I've got Louise Stone with me today. Louise was Director of Sport at Guildford High School for 25 years, ran a fantastic programme, and as I was just saying to Louise, I think the mark of any good programme is the legacy you leave, and Guildford High Sport's still going great guns, so that's fantastic. So Louise is going to speak to us today about her experiences as a Director of Sport, and particularly around leadership. So I said earlier, Louise, if you were starting today, what advice would you give yourself, you into the business of being a director of sport in an independent school?
Well, I think I'd probably give the same advice that my husband gave me, which was actually to have a plan and to work to that plan, and to sort of look at the school, work out what I wanted out of it, and then go from there. And I mean, every school will have a different plan according to what sort of success or sort of program they want to have. I think the most important thing for me was that I had a happy team. I wanted to be happy in my job, and I wanted my team to be happy. And we always had a sort of mantra that, we worked with each other and we worked for each other. And that was absolutely fundamental to everything that we did, from a small team of 4, which we were when I first started, to then, when I left, the team sort of must have had at least sort of 20 plus staff, if you include everybody who's a part-timer, and then of course there are other paratics on top of that. So yeah, I would say set out your plans. Make sure you know what sports you want to be known for, successful at. I mean, what sort of culture you want to have. Is it, are you very keen to be successful competitively, or is your main idea to have, the most amazing sport for all program? What I did was I wanted both. I wanted both in equal measure, and I do think that was one of the secrets of our success, was that actually we did promote every single sport we could think of. We tried to find every girl's niche. I mean, it was an all girls school, so that to a certain extent we didn't have lots of conflicting sports or anything. We had, we were really able to look at what sports the girls wanted to do. And yeah, and then I always sort of look at success as like a pyramid. I think if you have a really good base, from that base you then build your success from it. So if you can find lots of sports that the girls are interested in, and then focus on making those as good as you can and as successful as you can, you'll then get the elitism coming through, and the success coming through, if that's what you want. But you're going to have the specialism in your staffing, I think, to make that work. And that was something that I knew I wanted. So whenever we were, going out advertising for a new member of staff, I really tried to make sure that we worded the application, or the advertisement rather, to say what we wanted. So like if I wanted an expert in netball, I made sure that it said PE teaching with specialism in netball, and high standards required, and as well as then all the other sports that they would be required to teach. So yeah, I think just have your plan. You must think, what do you want to your school to look like in the future? I think that's really important.
And you were saying to me earlier that obviously Guildford was a very academic school when you joined, and you had to sort of change the mindset of
It was
people.
yeah. It was
Yeah.
an academic hothouse. That's what it was. And I knew, well, I have this thing called I call it the supper party syndrome. You've got to try and change the mindset and the chat that goes on in the local area about your school, in terms of how they view the school. The fact that everybody thought we were an academic hothouse, I had to change that and make them believe that actually, if they were sporty parents and they had sporty children, that we were a great school for them to send their children to, because we needed those sporty children if we were, and it's not just sporty in terms of talent. You need them in terms of their interest, and if the parents, you need the parents' support all the way through. So if the parents enjoy and love their sport and want their children to love their sport, then they're the parents that you want coming to your, they're the pupils that you want coming to your school. So yeah, that was also sort of, well, that was in my plan.
Brilliant.
I wanted to encourage though, so I set up lots of tournaments and things, invitational tournaments for current sort of year fives and sixes. I set up tournaments. So I brought people into the school to see our facilities, which actually in those days weren't particularly good. But what I was trying to do was show them that we actually did still play lots of sport, regardless of our facilities. And then over the years, the facilities got better and we started to look more attractive as a school for sport anyway. For example, if you have a swimming pool, I mean, God, show it off, because you want the swimmers coming. So do something to encourage all the swimmers to come and swim in your pool. And, you get a young sort of 9-year-old who says, oh, that's where I want to swim, as in my senior school. And then they might come. So, yeah, it's that supper party syndrome talk that I think is quite important.
And you said earlier about having a happy team was important to you. So what sort of things did
Yeah.
you do to make your team happier?
I think I built friendships. We actually at the heart of the team, we were all friends. We were really good friends. I really made every effort to recognize success. So, for example, if someone gone to a tournament at the weekend and they'd had some success, I'd leave a bunch of daffodils or a box of chocolates or a little, tiny little bottle of champagne or something on their desk on the Monday morning with a card saying, well done, congratulations. Or I think that sort of recognition can go a long way. We often used to meet. I used to sort of make it a thing that we would have a social gathering between us at least once, if not twice a term. And, that started off with sort of things like bowling and, or just coming around to my place for supper or, just going out and doing something together, like at a restaurant. And then as the department started to get bigger, other people started to take on that sort of responsibility. It became the thing to become the social rep of the department, to organize our socials. And like birthdays, acknowledging everybody's birthday is goes a long way. If on their birthday you have cake and flowers and bottle of wine or whatever, either on their desk or as a department, I think that's really good. Like, I don't know, making a tin of flapjacks and taking it into your team meeting just to say, look, here's a treat for everybody because you've been working so hard recently, and I just want to say how grateful I am, and how the school really appreciates everything that they're doing. I think it's just little things. It's all marginal gains. I think just all the little things all contribute to the big one,
Because it is
the
so
big thing.
important, isn't it? If you feel valued, if you feel you're, part of a higher purpose, if you like, then
Totally.
you're going to go the
And
extra mile, aren't you?
pride, I think building pride, we all had incredible pride and felt it a privilege to teach at Guildford High School. And I think that, that's the culture that you need to set, is pride in who you are, what you're doing, and who you represent. And, I used to make teachers feel that they were proud to wear the logo on their kit, and to make sure that they really felt that they were well dressed and they looked smart when they went off to matches and tournaments and things, because it was really, really important to me that the school looked smart. I've always said, if you turn up, doesn't matter how weak your team is, if you turn up to a match and you really look professional and your team looks professional, that will go a long way to helping the team feel good about themselves. And so that's sort of a lot of emphasis on the uniform, the way we looked, the way we carried ourselves, the way we acted. That was really important, I think, to our department, and everyone bought into that. For example, I didn't allow strappy top. I mean, we were very old fashioned. We didn't, I said everyone should wear a shirt with a collar, and no one should wear flip-flops on the athletics field. And I know that probably is out of date now, but in those days it wasn't. And the whole department bought into that. And so you become a team as a result of it. You become a
Yeah, yeah,
team.
yeah. and you feel like you belong as well. Yeah, that's important,
Yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah. And I think supporting as well. I think don't underestimate how important it is for you as a director of sport to go to matches or events for other people's sports. You know, like I was a lacrosse player, but I would without fail, if I could, be at the netball, you know, the county finals or the, you know, regionals or whatever it was, because those big events are when your department need to know that, you know, you're really supporting them, and you know, and even actually your pupils do as well. You know, when your pupils suddenly see you turn up at a, you know, at a skiing competition or a riding competition or a sailing event, whatever it is, completely out of your comfort zone possibly, but if you turn up and show an interest, the parents love it, absolutely love it, and your staff will love it, and your pupils will, you know, your students will love it. And that all helps build that culture of, you know, we're all here together, we're all part of the same team.
I think it's so right. I mean, as the leader, it shouldn't be underestimated how much people value you when you drive an hour to see, as you say, a hockey game. And you turn up on the sideline, and the kids say, "Oh, what are you doing here today?"
Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely.
I've
Yeah,
come to support you. And
yeah.
I think you're so right. A lot of the things you're saying are easy wins, aren't they? It's just making people
They're
feel
small
important.
things which make such a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think as a director of sport, you've got to show that you're prepared to put in 150%, because if you don't put in more than 100%, how can you expect your team to?
yeah,
And, you know, one of the questions I used to ask at interview actually was, look, you know, at Guildford High School, I require, you know, 120% from my staff. Are you prepared to give 120%? And you can see the hesitation on
yeah,
someone's
yeah,
face when they think, oh my gosh, you know, what am I being asked here? You know, and you suddenly realize that actually they have no idea how hard they are going to have to work,
yeah,
you know, for maybe less money than they'd earn at a state school, for example, if, you know, that's where they, you know, also would like to work on a, you know, on a, I don't know, 9 to 4 day, you know, there is no comparison.
yeah.
If you want to work for a really successful independent school, you are going to be working 24/7. And if you can't set that example as a director of sport,
Yeah.
then how can you expect your team to?
I
So
think
I always knew that, you know.
it's so important as well, because if you get it right, you don't mind working those extra hours again, because you
No, not
genuinely
at
are
all.
enjoying it. And as you said, if you've got a happy department, well, people end up wanting to do that because it's so enjoyable. So that's brilliant. Louise, thank you so
Yeah.
much. There's some
Yeah, you're
absolute gold
welcome.
for directors of sport. And thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, good luck to everyone out there who's doing the job. One day you'll be retired like me and very happy, but for the moment, I mean, I absolutely love my job. So I hope they do too.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks, Louise.